What is up, Patriots, and happy Monday. This is O'Connor's Quick Strike, and I'm John O'Connor. 3 stories the mainstream media won't cover or will completely twist beyond recognition, delivered in roughly 15 minutes or so. No fluff, no BS, no filler, just the unvarnished truth peppered with my own take on what's really going on. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As always, if you haven't already, go ahead and just sharply tap that like, subscribe, and or follow button. Every single one of your sharp taps helps get our message out there to more folks who need to hear it. Today is Monday, November 17th, and I've got 3 stories for you that show exactly what happens when the people in power think they are above accountability. We've got Tucker Carlson doing the FBI's job 16 months after they tried to bury the Butler shooting investigation. We've got Senator Joni Ernst exposing a $1 billion DEI fraud scheme that's been robbing taxpayers blind. And we're closing with a violent leftist attacking Alina Habba's office with a baseball bat because apparently that's where we are now. Let's get into it. 16 months. It's been 16 months since Thomas Matthew Crooks climbed onto a rooftop in Butler, Pennsylvania, and came within a quarter inch of killing Donald Trump. And in those 16 months, we've gotten exactly nothing from the FBI about who this kid really was or why he did it. Until Thursday. Tucker Carlson just dropped a massive investigation that blows the lid off what the FBI has been hiding. And Patriots, this isn't conspiracy theory stuff. Tucker's got the receipts. Here's what we were told. Thomas Crooks was a ghost online. No social media presence, no digital footprint, just a disturbed 20-year-old who acted alone. The FBI painted him as some right-wing extremist and basically told us to move along, nothing to see here. Tucker proved they lied. His team found 737 YouTube comments from Crooks between 2019 and 2020. 737. They verified every single one through metadata, IP address logs, and archived replies that are still visible on the Internet Archive. So much for no online footprint. But here's where it gets really interesting. Crooks' early posts were violently pro-Trump. I'm talking some extreme stuff. He posted things like Ilhan Omar and others are invaders and should honestly be killed. He wrote, "Every Trump-hating Democrat deserves to have their heads chopped off." I mean, this kid was posting about 50 million Americans with AR-15s making quick work of blockades. Then, in 2020, something flipped. Suddenly, Crooks is mocking Trump supporters, praising pandemic lockdowns, celebrating mail-in voting. His entire online persona did a complete 180. And get this, he literally posted what Tucker Carlson called a digital manifesto. The only way to fight the government is with terrorism-style attacks. Track down any important people or politicians and try to assassinate them, unquote. That's not some random comment. That's a blueprint for exactly what he tried to do on July 13, 2024. Now, here's where the FBI's behavior gets really suspicious. 10 days after the shooting, just 10 days, the FBI authorized Crooks' body to be cremated. What day was that? The exact same day congressional committees launched their investigations. You cremate the body the same day Congress starts investigating. That's not standard procedure. That seems like destroying evidence. But it gets worse. The very next day, an FBI agent from the Technical Hazards Response Unit was photographed hosing down the rooftop crime scene. Just spraying it down with water. You know what that does? It destroys blood evidence, tissue samples, forensic material, everything an independent investigator would need to verify the FBI's story. Normally, crime scene cleanups are done by third-party biohazard firms, not FBI agents with garden hoses. But that's what happened here. And somehow, the FBI accessed Crooks' phone in just 40 minutes. They got into foreign emails, his encrypted apps, everything in 40 minutes using some tool called Celebrite. But then they turn around and say they have no idea about his motive. They can crack his phone in 40 minutes, but can't figure out why he did it after 16 months? Oh, and all of Crooks' social media accounts deleted. Internet Archive records mostly gone. The digital evidence disappeared faster than Hillary's emails. Now, I want to be clear about something. Kash Patel is FBI director for now, and he inherited this disaster. He wasn't running the show when evidence got destroyed, when the body got cremated, when the crime scene got hosed down. That all happened under the previous administration. But here's what's frustrating. Even now, 16 months later, we are not getting answers. Tucker showed clips of both Kash Patel and Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino declining to comment on the case details. They keep citing some trial as the reason. Except, for what we can tell, there doesn't seem to be a trial. Crooks is dead. There's nobody to prosecute. So what trial are they talking about? Look, I get that investigations take time. I get that there are protocols. But 16 months of silence while evidence gets destroyed and bodies get cremated? While social media companies scrub accounts and the FBI claims a kid with 737 YouTube comments had no online footprint? The American people deserve answers. President Trump deserves answers. A man died that day, Corey Comparator, a firefighter who threw himself over his family to protect them. 2 others were seriously wounded, and the former president, now current president again, nearly had his head blown off on live television, and I was watching it live. We are not asking for classified operational details. We're asking basic questions. Who was Thomas Crooks? What radicalized him? Why did his views flip 180 degrees in 2020? Who was he talking to online? Tucker's investigation raises more questions than it answers, but at least someone's asking. The fact that we needed Tucker Carlson to do the FBI's job 16 months later tells you everything you need to know about the state of our federal law enforcement currently. This story isn't going away, Patriots, not until we get real answers.
2.
Let's talk about how your tax dollars are being stolen right in front of your face. Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, and thank God for her, is investigating what might be the biggest fraud scheme in federal contracting history. We are talking hundreds of billions of dollars funneled to fake, minority-owned businesses that are really just fronts for white executives gaming the system. Here's how it works. The federal government has what it's called the 8A program, set aside contracts for minority-owned and women-owned businesses. The idea is supposed to be helping disadvantaged business owners compete for government contracts. Sounds nice, right? Except the Biden administration took the goal from 5% of contracts to 15%, tripled it, and did basically nothing to verify these companies were legit. So what happened? Exactly what you'd expect. Fraud, massive systemic fraud. Let me give you a perfect example. ATI Government Solutions. This company claims Native American ownership to qualify for 8A status. Their website literally advertises their tribal advantage procurement advantages for government and industry by partnering with ATI. Here's the problem. Every single executive listed on their leadership page is white. Every single one. It's not even close. They've got some Native American tribe holding 51% ownership on paper while white executives run the whole operation and do all the actual work. And it's not just ATI. Last week, the Small Business Administration suspended 7 additional companies connected to ATI CEO. 7 more companies in the same network, all playing the same game. James O'Keefe, yes, that James O'Keefe, caught this on undercover video. He got a senior director at ATI on camera basically admitting the whole scheme. The guy acknowledged that the tribal advantage is just a way to get no-bid contracts worth tens of millions of dollars. Senator Ernst is not having it. She wrote to the SBA Inspector General back in October saying, over the years, an egregious pattern has emerged where a special subset of 8A participants, the Super 8As, may be taking undue advantage of their ability to obtain sole source awards in unlimited amounts. Translation? These companies are getting unlimited no-bid contracts because they've got a Native American or minority person holding the ownership papers while everyone actually running the company and doing the work is white. Ernst put it perfectly. Small business contracting programs were never intended to function as welfare systems for favored classes or give no-bid contracts to do-nothing companies. Think about this. The Biden administration tripled the goal for minority set-asides from 5% to 15%. That's billions upon billions of additional dollars flowing into this program. And according to Ernst, they did little to make sure that they were actually doing the work, instead of serving as pass-throughs. A pass-through. That's the key word. The minority-owned company exists on paper, gets the contract because of their special status, then immediately subcontracts the actual work to a non-minority firm that owns 49% of the company. The minority owner does nothing except cash checks. The white executives do all the work and pocket most of the money. And who pays for this? Well, you do. Every taxpayer in America is funding this scam. Ernst also pointed out that over the decades, penalties against rule breakers have not been swiftly and resolutely imposed. In other words, even when they catch people cheating, nothing happens. No jail time, no massive fines. Maybe they lose the contract, maybe, but they just start another shell company and do it all over again. This is the swamp patriots. This is exactly what Trump was talking about. Billions of your tax dollars going to politically connected insiders who figured out how to game the system. They slap a minority name on the letterhead, create a corporate structure that technically qualifies, and then rob the American taxpayer blind. The SBA is finally starting to crack down under the new administration, but the damage is done. How many billions have already been stolen? How many legitimate minority-owned businesses got pushed out because they couldn't compete with these fake fronts that had corporate backing and unlimited resources? And here's the really infuriating part. This isn't some new thing. Ernst said this has been going on over the decades, plural. This has been happening for years, and nobody did anything about it because it's the system working exactly as designed. Politicians get to claim they are helping minorities, corporate insiders get rich, and the taxpayer gets robbed. Senator Joni Ernst is doing the work that should have been done decades ago. Let's hope this investigation actually leads to prosecutions and real reform, because right now, it's just another day in the swamp.
1.
And finally, let's talk about the violent left. Last Wednesday, November 12th, a radical leftist named Keith Michael Lisa showed up at the federal building in Newark, New Jersey carrying a baseball bat. His target? The office of acting U.S. Attorney Alina Habba. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Alina was President Trump's personal attorney. She defended him in multiple cases, served as his spokesperson on legal matters. Trump appointed her as acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, and she's been doing exactly what she was hired to do, enforcing the law without fear or favor. And the left can't stand it. So Keith Michael Lisa, 51 years old, 6'3", over 200 pounds, walks up to the federal building with a baseball bat. Security stops him. They turn him away. Smart, right? Except he comes back, this time without the baseball bat, and security lets him in. Lisa goes straight to the floor where Habba's office is located and loses his mind. He's yelling incoherently, smashing property, destroying government equipment. Then he runs. Thankfully, Alina Habba wasn't in her office at the time. Nobody was hurt. But think about what would have happened if she had been there. Think about what this maniac planned to do with that baseball bat before security stopped him the first time. The FBI launched a manhunt. They offered a $25,000 reward and warned that Lisa should be considered dangerous. He had ties to both New York City and Mahwah, New Jersey. Saturday morning, just 2 days ago, they got him. FBI, U.S. Marshals, and Homeland Security investigations worked together, tracked him down, and arrested him. Attorney General Pam Bondi wasn't playing around. She wrote on X, "No one will get away with threatening or intimidating our great U.S. attorneys or the destruction of their offices." And here's the key part. Bondi said this is becoming a trend as radicals continue to attack law enforcement agents around the country. Well, she's right. This isn't isolated. We are seeing a pattern of violent leftists targeting Trump appointees, Trump allies, and anyone associated with this administration. They can't win at the ballot box, so they are resorting to intimidation and violence. Alina responded perfectly. She posted, "I will not be intimidated by radical lunatics for doing my job." That's the spirit we need. These people want to scare Trump's team into backing down, into going easy, into not enforcing the law. It's not going to work. FBI Director Kash Patel nailed it when he said, "Threats against our U.S. attorneys aren't just attacks on individuals. They are attacks on the rule of law, and we will respond every time." Keith Michael Lisa is now facing federal charges, possession of a dangerous weapon in a federal facility, and depredation of federal property. Good. I hope they throw the book at him. But we need to be clear-eyed about what's happening here. The radical left has decided that violence and intimidation are acceptable tactics. They tried to kill Trump and Butler. Now they're going after his attorneys, his appointees, anyone in his orbit. This is what happens when you spend years calling Trump a fascist, a dictator, a threat to democracy. You radicalize people. You create Keith Michael Lisas who think they are justified in showing up with baseball bats because they are been told they are fighting tyranny. The media that spent 4 years calling Trump Hitler bears responsibility here. The Democrats who said Trump was an existential threat bear responsibility here. You can't light the match and then act surprised when something catches fire. Alina Habba is safe. This suspect is in custody. But how many more Keith Michael Lisas are out there? How many more attacks on Trump officials are we going to see before the left admits they have created a monster? So, there you have it, Patriots. 3 stories that show exactly what happens when accountability goes out the window. Story 1. Tucker Carlson had to do the FBI's job 16 months after the Butler shooting because the Bureau destroyed evidence, cremated the body, and hosed down the crime scene. That's not an investigation. It seems like a cover-up. Story 2. Senator Joni Ernst is exposing a $1 billion DEI fraud scheme where fake minority-owned companies with all-white executives have been robbing taxpayers for decades. That's the swamp in action. And Story 3. A violent leftist showed up at Alina Habba's office with a baseball bat because the media spent 4 years telling people Trump was Hitler. That's what radicalization looks like. The pattern is clear. The people who are supposed to be protecting us are either hiding the truth, stealing from us, or encouraging violence. But Trump's team isn't backing down. Tucker's investigating, Joni Ernst is investigating, and Alina Habba is still doing her job. If you haven't already, follow me on X at O'Connor Podcasts. Check out my other podcast, O'Connor's Right Stand, for deep dives on the issues that matter. We drop episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. And remember, if they are not talking about it, that means we need to. I'm John O'Connor. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and keep fighting for what's right. I will see you on Wednesday, Patriots.